Hey, dear students and viewers, it is me, Harsh Inania, Assistant Professor in Government Law College, Ajmer, who is presenting you a lecture on parliamentary privileges. The next part, okay? Hope you are doing well and studying good. And so far, we have understood what are the parliamentary privileges, the concepts behind the same, the constitutional provisions, the statements by Erickson, Erskine May, and we have also understood what is a contempt. Okay, so whatever impedes the proceedings, whatever hinders the proceedings of the houses of the parliament and lower down the image is a contempt, and it may even uh, treat something new as a contempt which has a tendency to impede the process. Okay, so it is a contempt, and the logic behind the contempt was also understood so as to protect the dignity and so that the houses of the parliament may command respect of the people at large and the society. Therefore, the provision for punishment of its contempt is there. Next, we studied the constitutional provisions, including Articles 105 and Article 194. Thereafter, we studied in detail Article 105 and the various concepts behind it. So, and thereafter, the attached Article 88 was also studied. Okay, and the concepts of the participation of Attorney General, okay, in the houses of parliament to speak in as well as to participate in the proceedings was understood. Next was Article 194, which we studied in detail, as well as the logic behind the various provisions was understood in completion. Next was Article 177, which is attached to the Article 194. Okay, so we understood both of these articles, okay, and the concept behind the participation and the right to speak in the houses of state legislature, which is provided to the Advocate General, was understood. Now, also we had completed the members' individual privileges, okay, and now let us continue with the collective privileges of the members. So, the members do enjoy collective privileges as well. First of all, they have the right to prohibit the publication of proceedings. So, houses of the parliament as well as the state legislature have the right to prohibit the publication of its proceedings. They may expunge various or certain remarks or statements made by the members of the parliament, members of various parliamentary committees, or the attorney general, or the ministers, central ministers, or the members of state legislature, or the members of the various committees of the state legislature, or the advocate general, or the ministers, the state ministers. Okay, so these are the collective privileges of the houses. Okay, so whoever wants to publish the proceedings of the houses of parliament or state legislatures proceedings has to take or obtain prior authorization with regard to the same, and if proper authorization has been obtained, then no action will be taken against such people and they will not be answerable with regard to the publication of reports based on such proceedings. Clear? Next is the collective rights contain the right to exclude strangers. Okay, So it is a democratic process. So therefore, only the representatives have the right to participate in the proceedings and right to speak. So strangers will be excluded from participating as well as commenting in the houses. So the houses of the parliament as well as the houses of the state legislature have the right to exclude strangers. Is it clear? Next, the right to punish members and outsiders for the breach of its privileges. Okay, so we have studied the various rights and privileges and immunities under Article 105, and accordingly we have also studied that the parliament may, by the creation of law, may define these rights and privileges, and therefore, since the house can regulate its own proceedings, it has even the right to punish its members, obviously, and even the outsiders for the breach of its privilege. Clear? And finally, the right to regulate the internal affairs of the house. Okay, so the internal affairs of the house can be regulated by the house itself. The provision is contained under Article 118 of Indian Constitution. So these are the correct collective privileges, starting from the prohibition of the publication of its proceedings, exclusion of strangers, punishment for the breach of privilege, and the regulation of the internal affairs of the house. What constitutes parliamentary breach or contempt of house? So any act which constitutes as a disturbance, okay? So a disturbance by the outsiders may amount to contempt or parliamentary breach of privilege. Also, any kind of assault committed on the members may be a contempt of house or breach of parliamentary privilege. Writings or speeches about the characters of the member, okay, since the house is very dignified and honorable, so any kind of writing or speech with regard to the character of its member is of serious nature, and therefore the house takes it very seriously, and accordingly it punishes for such act, and such act constitutes a contempt. Clear? If anyone gives any misleading statement in the house intentionally, then also it may amount to the contempt of the house or breach of the parliamentary privilege. You might think that the various members or any member, you might have witnessed any instance that they might speak misleading statements in the house, but you must also know here the provision contains that such statement must be made intentionally. So you need to prove that such statement, such misleading statement was made intentionally. Clear? So these are the various instances or the illustrations of the contempt of the house. So any disturbance by the outsiders or any kind of assault committed on the members or against the members, or any writings or speeches about the characters of the member, or giving any misleading statement intentionally, may be treated as a contempt of the house. What kinds of punishment may be imposed for the breach of the privileges or for the contempt? such a person may be sent to the prison. Okay, imprisonment is a kind of punishment. Fine can be imposed upon such a stranger or such a person giving a misleading statement intentionally. Okay, so such offenders are prosecuted, and punishment even can be given to the members of the house itself. Okay, so mainly imprisonment or fine may be imposed. So when we are studying parliamentary privileges, the mention of the case laws cannot be left unspoken. So therefore, let's discuss the various important case laws or the landmark judgments of the Supreme Court. It will widen our horizon in terms of understanding the provisions of parliamentary privileges. So the first case in this regard is Gunupati Keshav Ram Reddy versus Nafisul Hassan, AIR 1954, Supreme Court 636. In this case, a person named Homi Mistry was arrested in Bombay in his residence under a warrant issued by the Speaker of UP Legislative Assembly. The reason was the contempt of the House, and after being arrested, Homi Mistry was flown back to Lucknow and kept in a hotel in the custody of the Speaker. On his applying for the writ of habeas corpus writ can be filed before the High Court or the Supreme Court. Habeas corpus means to have the body, to produce the body. Okay, so Homi Mistry applied for the writ of habeas corpus on the ground that his intention was violative of his fundamental right as mentioned under Article 22, Clause 2. The Supreme Court quashed the detention made by the Speaker of the Uttar Pradesh Legislative Assembly. Okay, so it was quashed by the Supreme Court, and the court ordered his immediate release as he was not produced before a magistrate within 24 hours of his arrest as provided under Article 22, Clause 2. This particular decision therefore indicated that Article 194 or Article 105 was subject to the fundamental rights guaranteed under Article 22, Clause 2 as provided in the Part 3 of Indian Constitution. So we must understand that we had earlier read Article 105 and Article 194. We had studied that. Let us have a quick glance. Article 194 is subject to the provision of the Constitution, and so is Article 105 subject to the provisions of the Constitution. Clear? So, such parliamentary privileges are to be in harmony with the various fundamental rights as provided under Indian Constitution. Therefore, the Supreme Court in this particular case held that such parliamentary privilege must not violate the fundamental rights, and here especially the right which requires mention is Article 22, Clause 2. Clear? Next is MSM Sharma versus SK Sinha. AR 1959, Supreme Court 395. Okay. In this case, it was contended by the petitioner that the privileges of the House under Article 194, Clause 3 are subject to the provisions of Part 3 of the Constitution, as is mentioned earlier as well. In the case of Ganapathy Keshavram Reddy versus Nafisul Hassan, since it was held that here the play of the fundamental rights as well as the parliamentary privileges comes into picture. So therefore, similarly in MSM Sharma versus SK Sinha, it was contended by the petitioner on similar grounds, and he said that the parliamentary privileges as mentioned under Article 194 Clause 3 are subject to the provisions of Part 3 of Indian Constitution. In support of his contention, the petitioner relied on Supreme Court's decision, okay, of Ganapathy Keshavram Reddy versus Nafisul Hassan. But in this MSM Sharma versus SK Sinha case, the Supreme Court held that in case of conflict between fundamental right under Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A, and a privilege under Article 194, Clause 3, the latter would prevail. Okay, so the parliamentary privilege will prevail in case of a conflict between the parliamentary privilege and the fundamental rights. As regards Article 21, the court did not find any violation of Article 21 based on the facts of the case. Okay, so here Supreme Court applied the principle differently since the situation was different, the facts were different, therefore the application of law was different. Clear? The conflict between the legislative privileges, that is the parliamentary privileges, and the fundamental right came to be resolved by the Supreme Court in presidential reference under Article 143. Okay, so this reference we all know that can be made by the President of India before Supreme Court. So if he has any important question, he can refer it to the Supreme Court, and similarly here in this case it was referred by the President of India exercising the right provided under Article 143. So in reference under Article 143 AR 1965 SC 745, this case is popularly known as the Keshava Singh's case or the UP Assembly case. In this case, Keshav Singh, a non-member of the UP Assembly, printed and published a pamphlet. The Speaker of UP Legislative Assembly reprimanded him for contempt and the breach of the privilege of the member Narsingh Narayana Pandey. Okay, so he was reprimanded, as well as one more thing happened, that is on the same day the Keshava Singh, the said person, okay, Keshava Singh was present in the house. By his conduct committed another contempt in the house. Okay, so first thing which was done by him is he published a pamphlet, and secondly, by being present in the house, he did another act of contempt. Okay, the Speaker thereupon directed Mr. Keshav Singh to be admitted to prison. A warrant was issued for his detention in the jail for 7 days, and he was detained accordingly. Mr. Solomon, his advocate, now this is very interesting, listen carefully, okay? Mr. Solomon, his advocate, moved under section 491 of CRPC read with article 226. Okay, a habeas corpus petition was filed by him alleging that his detention in jail was illegal and mala fide because he was not given an opportunity to defend himself. We all know that the rules of natural justice require both the parties to have their say, which is based on the Latin maxim odi alterum partem. Okay, so appropriate opportunity of defending should have been given, and this particular say was given by the person so detained. Okay, so we all know that article 226 has wider powers, and this right of issuing the writ can be exercised by the concerned high court, not only for the protection of fundamental rights, but also for the protection of other legal statutory rights as well. Okay, so the ground of not being given the opportunity to defend was taken. The petition was heard by 2 judges of Allahabad High Court, and the judges granted interim bail to Keshav Singh, and he was released pending the decision of the case on merit. Okay, so a temporary relief was given and he was released. Clear? Now it becomes more interesting. On this, the assembly by resolution took the view that the two judges who delivered the judgment with regard to the case of Singh, okay, so a resolution was passed by the assembly that the 2 judges, Mr. Keshav Singh, and not only this but also his advocate Mr. Solomon, had committed contempt of the assembly and ordered that Keshav Singh be immediately taken into custody and the 2 judges and the advocate be brought in custody before the house. So here the clash took place, which is evident from the records itself. At this, now see what happened, how the chain of events occur here. At this, 2 judges and the advocate by separate petitions moved under Article 226. The High Court contended that the resolution amounted to the contempt of the court and that it be set aside and its implementation be stayed by a interim order. Okay? So this case will be continued in the next lecture. So till then, have a great day ahead. Thank you for listening so carefully.